I have wanted to be on this stage to dance, to sing, to do other things, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to be up here and share with you today. And I won't dance and I won't sing. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank President Moats and Provost Taylor for this opportunity to share my Omega lecture, my final time of addressing the AU community. Thank you, faculty and staff, my family, my friends, and guests for being here today. The hymns of the Church of God have always been special to me. I have many warm memories of hymn sings at evening vespers, where the congregation will call out a hymn, and we would sing it. So it is most fitting that I include some of my favorite hymns that help express my journey over the past 20 and a half years. AU has been a significant part of my life for decades, and I'm honored to share a few of the memories I will take away. Lead me, Lord, I will follow. That's one of my favorite Brooklyn Tabernacle songs, and I've meditated on it many times. I have to begin with this one because in 1969, that is just what my parents did. My father had received a call to ministry at Anderson, and Anderson College was recommended as the place for him to study. I remember riding in the U-Haul truck with my dad, holding baby Drowsy, who I still have today, as our then family of 5 made our way from Saline, Michigan to Anderson. This was to be a short-term stay while my father completed his education at the School of Theology. Then we would return to Michigan for him to pastor a congregation. I never imagined that the valley where I played with my siblings would be the place I studied to become a teacher and would one day call my place of employment. But here I am, some 20 years later, finishing my formal teaching career. Lead me, Lord, I will follow. Lead me, Lord, I will go. You have called me, I will answer. Lead me, Lord, I will go. When I started in January 2006, I loved saying I worked for Diana Ross, who was my dean at the time. Some of the looks on the faces of people when I shared this still make me smile. I could almost see them visualizing the Diana Ross ascending from a helicopter to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. I was also asked by many why I was leaving in the middle of the school year. Did I have some inside information? What did I know that they didn't? I had opened my second of 2 new school buildings as principal. These were very exciting times and stressful, and I was ready for a change of pace. As I pondered what was next for me, it was time to be still and know that I am God. So my response was about change and listening to God's voice and his direction in my life. That is something that was always instilled to me and my siblings at a very young age by our parents. Decisions were not made without praying, fasting, and wise counsel from those very close to us. I prayed, God, order my steps in your word. When I started at AU, one of my colleagues, who had also been a fellow principal in the district, gave me a very interesting perspective on where I was at the moment. He talked about how much responsibility lies on the shoulders of a building principal. You are responsible for everyone and everything. Students, teachers, staff, cafeteria workers, custodians, and then making sure there were no leaks, no unexplained smoke, and no flickering lights. My colleague stood in his office and said, "Now you're only responsible for this space." That conversation helped me to step away from the feeling of responsibility for everything and care for a smaller portion of my world, my office, my students, and upholding the mission of the university. One of the main differences that I noticed in coming to higher ed was the ebb and flow of my day. As a building principal, I could walk in with an agenda of things that I wanted to accomplish. By the end of the day, I was fortunate to have tackled maybe 1 or 2 of these things. My day was often spent putting out 3 alarm fires every hour on the hour, playing detective to solve the mystery of who stole the key to one of the buses, and being a safe space for students who just needed a place to cool down. Some days it was exhausting dealing with the sheer busyness of the day. Taking a position as a professor at AU took on a different pace and a different way of thinking. My main focus was on giving to my students and helping them prepare themselves to be teachers. I loved sharing tales from the trenches. Some of the stories I've accumulated from my days in the classroom range from a kindergartner saying they were going to call the police on me, and another one saying, "You have the most beautiful handwriting in the whole world. I love you." I've also loved the openness to pray with and for my students in classrooms, in the office, and other places on campus. Another difference in my experience was learning to get everything in one semester. I remember how challenging that was. I'm the kind of person who likes to plan, but likes to leave things open for revision, reflection, and readjustment. So putting together a whole semester of what I planned to do was indeed a challenge. I would ask myself, what all am I supposed to get in with 16 weeks? I'm used to having that entire year to teach things and go back and revisit something if students need it, or if for some reason the schedule at the school changed. Somehow I've learned to manage this craft and trust the process. When we walk with the Lord in the light of His word, what a glory He sheds on our way. While we do His good will, He abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. 20 years in the same position brings about changes in how, why, when, and what we do. Change is something that can be very difficult for people to embrace. It's also healthy. I remember when I was preparing for my administrative license, they always talked about, as good as we are, how can we be better? Every semester we were challenged to ask ourselves this question as we reflected upon the semester's experience. I have witnessed change at AU and had opportunities to grow. During my time, I've occupied 3 offices, taken on several teaching assignments, and had the privilege of working under different deans and presidents. I have seen changes in us being a school of education to now a Department of Teacher Education, and a change in the leadership structure. I have welcomed colleagues and said goodbye to many. I have served on many committees, had the privilege of being a faculty secretary, serving as advisor to student organizations, and being a member of a team. I've experienced accreditation at the university level with NCATE and CAPE, and I'm still smiling. I've also traveled with 2 groups of students on Tri-S to Kodiak, Alaska. I have been a part of curricular changes in our department as well as campus-wide. One of the things I've heard when change is coming is, "That's the way we've always done it." I will admit on some occasions I felt challenged by the changes that were proposed and really had to sit back and reflect on my own feelings in order to understand the changes. But with any change, I've always hoped at the end of the day it would take us to a new place with new opportunities and ways to become better. I had the pleasure of serving on the curriculum committee for a number of years. I've always enjoyed curriculum and instruction, and at one point in my career I was ready to step out of the classroom and look for a position as the director of curriculum. When I was first nominated to serve on this committee, my dean at the time, Jan Fulkerson, talked to me about the importance of the work done by this committee because the faculty controls the curriculum. I had the privilege of serving with many faculty members and different chairs on this committee. The work was interesting and gave me a lot of information about the other departments on campus and what they were doing. What a great learning experience. During my time on the curriculum committee, I was part of a subcommittee that took a look at the liberal arts core curriculum and revised it. This was like a think tank to envision what needed to happen in the future for our students in terms of their studies. We spent several months working diligently to come up with a new structure for the liberal arts. The heavy lifting came in the next year as the curriculum committee had to review and vote on all proposed courses to be included in the liberal arts. We had meetings every week so that we could be through all of the proposals and have the faculty vote in a timely manner. I had the job of secretary at that time. You talk about writer's cramp. I am not one who does well typing on a laptop to capture the information. I'm very old school, so I had my pen and my paper to write things down. I would attend the meetings, take the minutes, come back to my office and transcribe them into a document that I shared with our chair. Sometimes I didn't leave my office until 7 p.m. because I wanted to make sure I had everything written down while it was fresh. As some people would say, that was crazy work. It was also work that I enjoyed. I know it isn't a hymn, but I cannot think about Otis Redding's lyrics when I think about change. It's been a long time coming, but change is going to come. I'm appreciative of the changes I've been able to contribute to at AU. Relationships have always been important to me. I like to build positive relationships with people and make new friends wherever I go. From my first semester, I had the support of wonderful colleagues who wanted to make sure I had everything I needed. I can remember Jan coming over to my office and sitting down many afternoons. She would check to see how I was doing, if I needed anything, and we often shared a cup of tea. This is something I still do when I need to slow down and unwind before tackling something else. Diana Ross was very supportive of me when I started work on my doctorate. I remember her saying that she wanted me to earn a PhD, and she would work with me and help me to plan my schedule so that I could fulfill the requirements needed. I always felt included by my colleagues. I remember how Suzanne Walker would check in with me. We had such fun eating lunch in the bottom of Decker. Those were fun times and I miss them. I also value the care that was given to me during times of loss. When I lost my father in March of 2010, I was lost. I thought that I could put on a brave face and come to campus the day after he passed. I just felt like I needed to be with my students and teach them what they needed to know. When I hit the parking lot, I could feel the heaviness and the uncertainty coming over me. I made my way up to my office, and many were surprised to see me. I thought I could do this. I just knew that with prayer, I could get through this day and do something that was very difficult. When I met with my students, it was the strangest feeling. It was like not being there and watching myself go through the motions. I ended up talking to them tearfully about my father's passing and leaving the classroom. I will not forget how they took time after I left to pray for me and my family. I believe the students at AU are different from other institutions in many ways. One is their deep commitment to Christ and their faith. Just as the students prayed for me when I lost my father, they were compassionate, caring, and offered me so much grace when I lost my mother in 2024. I felt as though the bottom had dropped out and I was hanging on by a thread. But I held fast by the love and care of AU. One of my mother's favorite songs to listen to was, "He Will Hold Me Fast." The lyrics are a beautiful reminder of how your community surrounds you. When I fear my faith will fail, Christ will hold me fast. When the tempter would prevail, he will hold me fast. I could never keep my hold through life's fearful path, for my love is often cold. He must hold me fast. I'm grateful for a wonderful friend that I met at AU who walked through these experiences of loss with me. I cannot forget how my dear friend and colleague, Joyce Duty Polschneider, was there 24/7. She texted me scriptures, prayed, and offered to help me in any way she could, having understood the loss of both parents. Can we find a friend so faithful who will all our sorrows share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. I'm grateful for the friendships made at AU and for the prayers of those surrounding me with love and compassion. Earning a PhD was something I aspired to, but kind of set aside as an elementary school principal and teacher. When the opportunity came about, I was happy to embrace it and work towards a goal that had fallen off my to-do list. When I look at the statistics of African American women achieving doctorates, I know that I'm in a very small percentage. I could have been discouraged. I could have given up. I could have said, this is not for me, but I persevered. Here again, I had the support of my community, my colleagues, my family, and I recall some of the advice I was given when starting my doctoral work. I was told to take it in 3 phases. coursework, exams, and dissertation. This was given to me by Jan, and we completed our administrative work in the same program at Butler. She reminded me that every successful completion of the process should include a celebration. I made sure to follow that advice. I have some expensive purses in blue dust covers as evidence of such. Completing this journey was one that was exciting, fulfilling, and not always easy. The words that signify this journey are, along life's rugged, thorny way, keep praying, toiling on. There soon will come a brighter day. Keep praying, toiling on. One of the most rewarding parts of my studies was finding my passion. If you ask my family and friends, I've always been a collector. Just check out my garage if you have any doubts. I've collected things from various cultures and been interested in others, and have always wanted to travel the world and take in different cultures. As I began to narrow down my area of study for my dissertation, I realized that I had a true joy in making things relevant and understandable from a cultural perspective. I recall my first year of teaching and having students from very different economic backgrounds and different cultural backgrounds. It was interesting to see these two very diverse groups of students occupying the same classroom. There was a lot of disparity and some misconceptions on the part of the adults. It was frustrating to me that the materials I used for students didn't reflect their faces. My maternal grandmother, who was also a school teacher, recognized this as well. She would always send birthday, Christmas, and Easter cards to us that she had taken the time to have the faces resemble us. It was a little thing that made a big difference. As I studied for my doctorate, I became very passionate about culturally relevant teaching and learning in a classroom. This is one of the things that I hope students who have been in my classes will take with them and make every effort to have students seen and heard in the content that they teach and the materials that they present. We all enjoy learning things that are of interest to us, including that cultural piece for students in the classroom. It brings new life. It brings better understanding of concepts that we want to teach. I have loved talking about the importance of culturally relevant experiences for children and seeing students include this in their teaching. Traveling to Kodiak, Alaska with two groups of education students provided very concrete examples of what I loved about culture, disequilibrium, and embracing diversity. I could see the students wrestling with what they were experiencing and then reflecting on their new learning and takeaways. We had some of the best conversations during those two trips. As I walk away from being a part of the Department of Teacher Ed, I have a deep sense of pride in knowing the program that has been built by those who have served with passion and foresight and a deep sense of commitment to excellence. It is also always very encouraging to have a conversation with a teacher or an administrator about our teacher candidates. I hear so many good things about the work they do in schools, whether it's completing a 20-hour practicum or student teaching, or even taking a job with a district. So many positive things are shared about the knowledge, the skills, and the dispositions of our teacher candidates. I believe that the program will only grow and become even better in the future. I believe our students will continue to find their way into classrooms and create safe, caring learning environments for students. I'm honored to have served with wonderfully gifted, talented faculty members who placed our students first and wanted the best for them. I cannot help but go back to the little girl in the moving van, embracing her doll and riding next to her father as we made our way from Saline to Anderson. Was I looking forward to going back to Michigan? Yes, I still yell, "Go Blue," and wear my maize and blue with pride. I will always consider Michigan to be home because that's where I was born, and that's where so many of my relatives have lived. My plan was to finish college and then go teach in Michigan. I got to Fort Wayne, halfway there, turned around, came back, like a boomerang. I spent wonderful years in the classroom as a teacher and in the office as a principal. I also honk the horn when I cross the Michigan state line just to let everybody know I'm home. Indiana has become a different kind of home for me. Being here has taught me things, and Anderson University has been an integral part of my life. From my father earning his degrees, working on campus, my mother earning her degrees and working on campus, my siblings, Ted, Stephen, Mary, and Leah, all having spent time studying, and 3 of us earning our degrees at Anderson University. It is and always will be a part of my life. It's interesting to reflect and realize, and also a little bittersweet, that there will not be another person from the Reverends Theodore and Mary Baker family on campus. From 1969 to 2026, there has been some presence of our family on this campus. If you had asked me 20 or 30 years ago what I was going to be doing in the next 5, I would have said being a teacher in a classroom or a principal. But as Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And my life reflects that important verse. Each time I've made a major change and changed my career path, or even when I decided to retire, I've prayed. I've enlisted the prayers of my siblings who've done so, just like my parents always did. God's plans and timing are perfect. I leave AU feeling a sense of peace and with many memories that I will cherish for years to come. It has been a wonderful experience and honor to return to the place where I discovered so much about myself, developed lifelong friendships, and was prepared by amazing faculty to do what I was called to do. I'll miss walking from my car to Decker, riding the elevator to the 3rd floor, and helping to prepare the next generation of educators. I'll miss colleagues, friends, and campus traditions such as caroling in Decker and the honor aisle at graduation. These traditions have made AU a place to value and remember for the good works being done. It will be an adjustment. I've worked full-time since graduating in 1987. But it's time to pass the torch and do some things I've wanted and needed to do. I will continue to keep you in my prayers and thoughts. You may even see me walking around campus attending an event or spending time by my dad's memorial tree on a warm day when I just need to be there. At any rate, I will treasure this place that has meant so much and given me many opportunities in my professional career. I will conclude with a final hymn that has been a comfort to me. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. I wish you all continued success and blessings, and I thank you for your time.